Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. And here's another video of some more James Bond trivia questions. In this video, it'll be You Only Live Twice trivia. While scouting locations in Japan, the chief production team narrowly escaped death. On March the 5th, 1966, producers Albert R. Broccoli and Harry Saltzman and director Louis Gilbert and cinema photographer Freddie Young and production designer Ken Adam were booked to leave Japan on a BOAC flight departing Tokyo for Hong Kong and London. 2 hours before their Boeing 707 flight departed, the team were invited to an unexpected ninja demonstration and so missed their plane. Their flight took off as scheduled, and 25 minutes after takeoff, the plane encountered severe turbulence and disintegrated out over Mount Fuji, killing all on board. The volcano set cost us as much as Dr. No's 1962 entire budget. It was so large it could be seen from 3 miles away. The relationship between Sean Connery and producers deteriorated to the point where he refused to act if they were on set. Well, there was tensions between Sean Connery and the producers. He was at loggerheads with them. As it was anticipated to be Sean Connery's last appearance as James Bond, publicity material released in advance of the movie announced Bond would be killed, married and become Japanese. While these events were portrayed in this movie, they were actually a ruse as part of Bond's undercover activities. The rocket, pistol and cigarette rocket were real-life weapons that were featured after manufacturer paid for the project placement. It was hoped that it would become standard military and intelligence equipment. The only Eon production James Bond movie to date in which James Bond does not get behind the wheel of an automobile. Out of simple courtesy on Bond's past, this is the only movie which he accepts a martini from Henderson that is stirred, not shaken. The first movie to show James Bond in his Royal Navy uniform and clearly indicated that he holds the rank of commander. While in Japan, Sean Connery and his wife were hounded by the international press. During news conferences, the press insisted on referring to Connery as James Bond. The local newsman attempted to photograph him in a restroom. 30 extra private security guards were hired to combat the excessive noise and hindrance, but even the guards started to take photos. Connery was allegedly photographed in a toilet and the picture published by a Tokyo newspaper. Halfway through filming, Connery announced he would not be returning as James Bond. To ease the tension, the producers removed his contractual obligation to do more 007 movies despite offering $1 million, and the movie wrapped. Connery was reported asked whether he found Japanese women attractive, to which he replied no, causing many Japanese call him bad names. Nancy Sinatra was the first non-British singer to perform the theme song for James Bond movie. It's the nation's favourite song of 2015. Shown in Britain, it was revealed that he was so nervous at doing it, it took 25 different takes and the final songs used in the film were made of the bits part of each recording. The atmosphere during production was reportedly chilly. Sean Connery had grown bored and the Bond role frustrated, and the public fussing with the franchise. Movie poster describing his James Bond didn't help. Furthermore, Ben Lee and Lon Maxwell were appearing in James Bond's knockoff, OK Connery and Neil Connery, Sean's younger brother, and older Connery let him know he's not happy about it. Screenwriter Roald Dahl later said that all of the film of his written works was one of the only one he liked the film results. Ken Adams' Volcano set was constructed at Pinewood Studios and of a move helicopter platform, working monorail system and a launch pad and a full-scale rocket mock-up that could simulate liftoff. Of 200 miles of tube steel were used, and Adam once said they used more the steel they used in London Hilton Hotel. Little Nelly was based on a real-life Wells Autogyro. The inventor Wing Commander K.H. Wallace actually flew Little Nelly in this movie. The machine was interpreted into the plot of production King Adam and held and Wells in a radio discussing the invitation, which is 84 total in the film sequence. This was filmed in Japanese mountains, except for one scene. There were rockets and fire filmed outside Japan. Before the title sequence, there is an outdoor shot of a Russian radar station where US and Soviet leaders are crisis meeting. They were filmed in Norway. In order to gain some measure of authenticity for the team of stuntmen who would double as ninjas, the climatic battle in the volcano, the producers enlisted the help of Japanese only ninja master. The novel was the last Ian Fleming James Bond novel produced during his lifetime. Released on March the 16th, 1964, it was the 12th novel in the series. Nancy Sinatra was asked to perform the title song after her father Frank passed on the opportunity. Much of the story structure of this movie was reused exclusively in The Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker and Tomorrow Never Dies. This marks the fifth and final on-screen together of Sean Connery and Lois Maxwell in Diamonds Over, the scene where disguised Moneybag gives Bond his travel documents as Port of Dover. Maxwell and Connery filmed their lines separately and were not present together for the short scene. The reason why the movie is so different from the book is that Roald Dahl hated the book. He called it a worst book, comparing to a travelogue. To charting the plot, Dahl said he didn't know what the hell Bond was going to do, despite having delivered the first draft in 6 weeks. During filming of his scenes, Donald Pleasance claimed that the white cat which was selected for his character was kept dirty in his trousers and when frightened. Despite being a main character in this movie, name is never mentioned on screen where Aki's last name. First movie in the franchise where he's trademarked in a tuxedo. $104 inhabitants have appeared as extras and fishing village scenes. The ship from which 007 was buried at sea with the Royal Navy H. Turbay. The scene was filmed in the winter and didn't go over too well with the crew who had to wait for the scene. It shot several times as the body didn't sink the first time. Bert Koo, Spectre Agent No. 3, was dubbed Bert Koo had previously played Mr. Lang in Goldfinger, and of course he was in the Pink Panther films, the manservant of Peter Sellers' character, Inspector Clouseau. After it was discovered that he couldn't swim, so Sean Connery's then wife, actress Diana Cahinto, doubled for her swimming scenes, wearing a black wig. Alexander Knox plays the US Secretary of Defense, Pentagon Chief. If you look behind him, you can see a portrait of Woodrow Wilson. The film was most difficult, and of all the films, 45,000 miles of air travel. The cast and crew were filming in Japan, Gibraltar, Spain and England. The movie was released 2 months after Casino Royale, 1967. Well, that was the disastrous spoof version of a James Bond film starring David Niven and Peter Sellers. This was the first 2 times the 2 James Bond movies were released the same year. Came 16 years later with Octopussy and Never Say Never Again. Bond producer Barbara Broccoli grew up in the behind-the-scenes world of James Bond as a child during location shooting in Japan. With this movie, she was caught fever from Japanese custom of sleeping on the floor. This was the second highest grossing movie in 1967 after Dirty Dozen. The primary reason for cutting the tops of the Toyota Tooth GT couples off was because of Sean Connery's height. He was simply too tall to fit in the GT. This was the only Sean Connery Bond film never to receive any British Board of Film classification cuts. The first Bond movie in which 007 does not visit Britain at all because of this plot point. M and Miss Moneypenny are given portable offices and a gimmick reused in Man with a Golden Gun, The Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker. This is the first Bond movie not to show MI6 headquarters. John Barry who cobbled together the theme song out of up to 25 different takes. Nancy Sinatra's usual producer, Lee Hazelwood, produced a radio-friendly version which doubled Sinatra's voice and added backup session singers to cover her vocal deficiencies. Was promoted in America with an AB's special titled Welcome to Japan, Mr. Bond in 1967. The title had been taken from Tanaka's first line in this movie. The only Bond movie in which 007 refers to Miss Bonnie by her nickname Penny. Peter R. Hunt was not the original editor. The producers were not happy with the movie. He pleaded with Hunt to return as editor, as he did this on condition that he could direct the next Bond movie on Her Majesty's Secret Service. The attempted killing of Bond by ninja assassins is a real-life incident in which a ninja attempted to assassinate the warlord in the 16th century Japan. The title comes from a poem including the novel. It goes, "You only live twice, once you were born and once where you look death in the face." Between 50 and 60 German and Swiss girls read for Helga Brandt, but only 1/5 of the movie got a screen test. Footage of the US Jupiter spacecraft in this movie actually filmed the real Gemini spacecraft, which flew between 1965 and 1966. The scene where a helicopter grabs a car full of Spectre agents with an electromagnet was on the roof of the idea conversed by Barbara Broccoli and producer Albert R. Broccoli. The gyro jet rocket guns had one major flaw. The projectile had to be built to lethal tests. Donald Pleasence worked on the film for 3 weeks. Nancy Sinatra was reported to be very nervous while recording the title song. First she wanted to leave the studio, then she claimed to sometimes sound like Minnie Mouse. John Barry declared that the final song used 25 different takes. In March of 2018, in the week that real-world location inspector layout Volcano Mount Goody should Tanaka's training ground as near the famous castle where Western Japan, the original back to 1333. The Royal World premiere was held on June the 12th, 1967. Much of the plot was inspired by the Cold War space race of the 1960s, which had captured much public attention. Ironically, this movie was released 5 months following Apollo launchpad fire. At the time, the volcano set was the largest interior ever built in Europe at a cost of £350,000 with 250 workmen. The next movie in the James Bond series would have been on Her Majesty's Secret Service, but unnecessary unseasonal cold summer meant they could not shoot it and preferred Swiss location. So we decided to make You Only Live Twice. Another movie due to be shot in Switzerland at the same time was Bells of Helgoland Lingeling, starring Gregory Peck, which would have marked the big screen director of Ian McKellar and was shut down after just a few weeks because of the same wintry filming conditions. Director Lewis Gilbert was mostly Roald Dahl's work, as Dahl declared that he only hoped that the script composer had some good ideas and they left you alone. Roald Dahl was given a free rein on the script and accepted the character of Bond and the girl formula. This movie marked the first time in the franchise that the worldwide gross was less than the number of previous movies, grossed in $30 million less than Thunderball in 1965. Bernard Lee M was wearing a British Rear Admiral soldier stripes in the scene with the commander. Lewis Gilbert originally turned down the directorship on this movie, accepted after producer called him saying, "We can't give it up in this job, it's the largest audience in the world." In September of 1972, United Artists were widely moving as a double bill in Thunderball, 2 of the biggest Bonds of all. Charles Gray Henderson played Blofeld in Diamonds Are Forever in 1971. He played the Knight of the Generals in 1916 opposite Donald Pleasence, who played Blofeld in this movie. This is the first James Bond to have a 2-year gap between the other one. The name of the book that Miss Moneypenny throws to James Bond in her office, in Japanese phrases, was first published in 1964. Eon Producers is hiring Century TV 21 producers to come the model. It includes Stingray, Thunderbird and Captain Scarlet to help out with the movie special effects work. It was not until The Man with the Golden Gun that chief exec for the Andersons would get to work on a Bond movie. Roald Dahl had no prior experience writing a screen except for the uncompleted The Bells of Hell Go Ting-a-ling-a-ling. Large crowds were present in Japan to see the shooting. A Japanese fan began following Sean Connery with a camera, and the police were called several times to prevent such incidents during shooting. No wonder Sean Connery got fed up with the role after being pestered all the while by the media and tourists taking photos. No wonder he got angry. No wonder he left. Ian Fleming named the character Anderson for his friend John Nicholas Anderson. Apart from Julie, the song originally theme song, other performances were Anita Franklin and the Walker Brothers. Veteran character actor Ed Bishop plays the NASA technician who first spots the unidentified object approaching the US space capsule. He was later star in the TV series UFO. Well, the UFO was a television series made in the late 60s and 1970s. Some of you probably don't remember that. Google it and you'll find out what it was all about. One of 3 James Bond movies where Bond does not wear a tuxedo, the others being from Russia with Love and Live and Let Die. Shane Remy, played by Uncharted Troll technician, seen at the end of the movie announcing Spectre's rocket has exploded, returned as controller in Diamonds Are Forever and Naval Commander The Spy Who Loved Me. Peter R. Hunt wanted to direct but turned it down. He directed on Majesty's Secret Service. This is the only Bond wears 2 tone shoes, also the only movie where Bond is dressed as 00 by Tanaka. Alexander Knox, who played the US Secretary of Defense, was revoiced by an unknown actor. Little Nellie's battle with the helicopters proved to be difficult to film. The scenes were shot in first with takes of the gyro and then more than 8 takeoffs, 5 hours of flight, and Ken Wallace nearly crossed 4 times. A scene filming for the helicopters above would create a major downdraft. Richard Mulvey, who wrote the previous Bond movies, was unable to write this one. It was the first 3 Bond movies that he didn't write or co-write. His life, the others being Live and Let Die and Moonraker. The fifth movie in the official James Bond film franchise, also the fifth was Sir Sean Connery as James Bond. Bernard Lee and Lois Maxwell was the fourth for Desmond Llewellyn as Q. The title of the late James Bond movie Spectre was lent name to a trio of original Fleming James Bond novels. Alf Ramsey took his 1966 England World Cup squad to meet Sean Connery on a visit. This was the final Bond movie until The Man with the Golden Gun in 1974, in which James Bond was played by the same actor in the previous movie. The night scene of the city street full of neon signs as Bond arrives in Gazare district in Tokyo. Some of the highlighted signs are visible in the same area. During the Second World War, Roald Dahl worked with British intelligence alongside Ian Fleming. In the first Eon James Bond movie to feature a United logo at the very beginning of the film. The particular logo in question was Hugo Choice. In the scene where a man with super-sized binoculars was spying on the British naval ship, crew holding a 007, Gordon's gin is seen on the table among other product placements included in the movie. The scenes of the ninjas descending on the volcano that were shot in used Japanese locals as extras. They were asked to put hoods on at the scenes and they abseiled into Spectre Layer was shot at Pinewood Studios. The ninjas were then portrayed by a handful of stuntmen. An explosion caused Blofeld's cat, which was on his lap, to pee all over him. Oh dear. I bet that was a mishap. Poor cat, I bet the poor cat was terrified. As Bond is about to make love to Helga Brandt, he says, "Oh, the things I do for England." However, he works for Secret Intelligence Service MI6 of the United Kingdom, not England. Moreover, Connery was notable and proudly Scottish, and Bond's parents were Scottish and French. Well, that's the end of my You Only Live Twice trivia. Like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you all again in another video.